Hello there and welcome to this tour of my menu design. This menu went through many iterations to get to the result you have today. The background footage is all created in Maya and is meant to represent gameplay. However, the focus should of course be on the menu design itself. So let's start the video. As we can see, when we enter the pause menu, the camera transitions to the front of the character. The menu is designed in such a way that it only takes up a very small percentage of the screen. In this case, that's been used to allow the player character to be visible, maybe reacting to your menu choices. In other usage cases, you could perhaps have live gameplay happening at the same time as menu navigation. I moved from a grey colour palette to a red, green and blue colour palette, and then to this green colour palette we have here. Going with a green colour palette was something I was scared to do at the start, because green is my favourite colour and I didn't want to be too predictable. However, I think given the style of the background visuals, it fits quite well. It's all quite a similar colour palette, big blocks of colour with no gradients. I took the stripes idea which I had developed in the previous versions of my menu and I used it here in a different way. For one thing, the stripes are horizontal rather than vertical, and they're quite thin, which makes them perfect for displaying text. The length of the bars at the top is actually random, but it's important that the bottom bar, forming an L, is both the longest and the brightest, because that forms the title bar for all of the sub-menus. The font was chosen because of its hard lines and blocky nature. However, it has a playful side to it as well, embellishing the colour blocks with some uplifting character. All in all, the menu style matches up well with the minimalist style I used in the background. Originally modelled as used for a 3D map, I think that the background looks like Google Maps come to life, a representation of a city which becomes fully explorable. The tabs on the left of the screen look like index tabs on an organiser or map book, matching perfectly with their intended use. The item selector is a white diamond with a red outline. White diamonds are used throughout the interface to mark items in lists, and the red border was chosen because it draws attention compared to the green and more muted colours of the rest of the interface. When you select an option, several things happen. Firstly, the selector disappears. It will fade into green if you pressed A, aka Advance, and it will fade into red if you pressed B, aka Back. When it fades in after a transition, it fades from white because it doesn't follow a button press. The four bars at the top don't disappear, they simply squash themselves down to take up the height that one bar would have taken up previously. This could then potentially be used for fast switching between menus. Maybe each bar could represent the menu's potential width requirement and have a smooth swapping transition without the need to return to the first menu. As the design is right now, that's not the case. The party screen takes the functionality of the old versions and applies it in a much more usable fashion. The bars are now clearly labelled and it's clear which bars relate to which character. The colours chosen for the various bars are darker than they previously were and sit much better in the context of the new menu design. The circles are where one would place profile pictures, however I don't have any characters actually designed so I left them blank. There are no selectable options on this menu, it's just a screen to indicate how well the party is doing. I suppose in an ideal game this would be displayed on the heads-up display during gameplay, but oh well. Here is the map screen. As you can see, we have three panels. The active panel shows which quests are currently activated and ready to be used. The inactive panel shows quests which aren't being actively displayed on the map, they're in storage. The map at the bottom shows an entire map of the area, a blue arrow to represent the player, and lines to lead you to your quest. On the right of the active quests, you can see coloured circles. These correspond to a matching circle on the map at the bottom. The lines on the map represent the most efficient route to your next destination, but will always do the quests in the order you set out on the bar at the top. Right now, the route is set to go from Quest 1 through Quest 2, 4 and then 5. This results in a lot of pointless backtracking, so now we're going to adjust it. When we select Quest 2, it is highlighted in black to show that we have picked it up. From this point, we can move up or down the menu to change its order. Remember, directions for quests will be shown on the map based on their place in the list, top to bottom. Moving the quest down the space, we can see that Quest 2 now takes the place of Quest 4. Quest 4 moves up into Quest 2's previous position. The map has adjusted to match the new layout, however it's still quite an inefficient route, so we'll move Quest 2 down one more place. Now that's a more sensible route. Now that we're happy with the planned route, we can press A to place the quest in its new position. Well, that's the map menu, let's go back to the main menu. Next up, the inventory. This menu follows the design of the previous one. It's laid out in two columns, but this time they're part of the same list. Obviously there's a lot more to do than just shuffling things around in this menu, so when you select an item, here I am selecting item 10, the items below slide out of the way to reveal a new menu with 4 options. This once again follows the theme of horizontal stripes, and leaves a small gap between the 2 stripes to clearly separate the upper and lower option. The separation between the left and right options is already created by the vertical columns. I'll select drop, and the menu disappears, and so does the item. So that's your inventory. Simple, effective. Now, here's the journal. This follows pretty much exactly the same design as the inventory menu, apart from the fact that when you select a journal option, the right side of the screen fades to white a little bit to assist you in reading the black text. The text then scrolls up in a dramatic fashion until the final line reaches the middle of the screen. Combine this with a dramatic voiceover, and you get the idea. A nice way to recap story elements without having the text confined to the bottom of your screen. Well, that's the entire menu. I hope you liked it.